This is the Defenders podcast on TV Podcast Industries, and we're talking about Daredevil Born Again, Season 2, Episode 3, The Scales and the Sword.
And you?
Me? I'm the knight.
High opinion of yourself.
All right, a man-at-arms then.
Is this amusement for you or self-soothing? Categorizing the sharks that might one day tear you apart?
Now that is a very good question, Dr. Glenn.
Welcome back, fellow Defenders, to the Defenders podcast on TV Podcast Industries. We're here and we're talking about Daredevil Born Again, Episode 3, The Scales and the Sword. I'm one of your hosts, John.
I'm your other host, Derek.
Excellent stuff.
I hope you're not sick of my voice yet. We've been doing Invincible. It feels like 2 episodes a week, plus Daredevil Born Again as well, which we've been doing, 3 episodes in the last week as well.
Absolutely. There will be no Easter for us.
Well, once we get this done, we'll be able to go and eat our eggs, John.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yummy.
Absolutely.
Yummy eggs.
Yeah, but thanks so much for joining us. We hope you're enjoying the return of Daredevil Born Again on Disney Plus. It's really cool to be chatting about Daredevil. Just a reminder, though, if you want to get access to the podcast and you haven't subscribed yet, pop on over to our website at tvpodcastindustries.com. You get all of the shows that we've covered. We're almost at 1,000 episodes, so lots and lots of stuff to listen to over there. Or you can actually still pop over to our website, defenderstvpodcast.com, which has been our home for Marvel for 10 years. So lots of stuff over there. We also want to hear your thoughts on the show. You can email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com or join us in our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/tvpodcastindustries to share your thoughts on the spoiler posts. And finally, you can also join us over in our Discord, the details of which are in the show notes for this very episode.
Yes, excellent stuff. That reminds me, actually, with you mentioning about the 1,000th episode, I still need to figure out a venue and a location where we can all meet up. I'm probably erring on the side of Dublin later in the year.
Yeah,
I think that could be quite good.
It could be that. And if John doesn't get his finger out, it will be virtual, so we can meet from all across the world.
That is true. I think we should do both.
We could do both, yes, as well.
It would be good to get all the Defenders that can over to Dublin, where we can sit and chat in a pub.
You're going to need to make your plans soon. We're cracking on, John, with our episodes, especially at the moment.
Almost April.
Yeah, but it's not even that. We've done 5 episodes in a week, and with one more episode to go. So we're going to be close to 980, I think, in the next couple of days. So,
ooh, it's tossing up. It's tossing up, fellow Defenders. It's tossing up.
And breaking feedback news, we got a voicemail in from the wonderful Mr. Steve Brown.
Hello, TV Podcast Industries. This is Steve, and I know I've been MIA for a while, but gosh, Daredevil Born Again Season 2 is back, and my goodness, it's such a relief. I absolutely love this show. I love podcasting on this show with my partner Mark, and just can't wait. I love hearing your guys' coverage of it, and can't wait to hear you cover the rest of the season. This episode, I won't say anything spoilery, and I don't want to give away the pub quiz question because I'm going to answer it via email. But I do. There was one thing I kind of caught, and I'm not sure they kind of talked about it on the official podcast. Is I know that Langley sometimes is associated with the FBI, but a lot of times it's also associated with the CIA. And when I think it was the Lieutenant Governor, the Attorney General is talking to Mr. Charles, he says something about the agency, which that's usually referring to the CIA. So I don't think Mr. Charles is part of that. I think he's part of something different. But just thought I'd give my insight on that or my thoughts on that. Loved actually seeing Matt and Karen together. I think they're great. They're a good couple, and I'm impressed by it. Gosh, what else can I say about this episode that I didn't say in my own podcast? We agreed with a lot of the points that you guys made about this first episode, and just can't wait for the rest of the season. Can't wait for the return of Jessica Jones. Loved hearing her name dropped there in the dialogue, and can't wait to see what they're going to do with Bullseye. All we've seen scene is a dagger thrown at this point. But gosh, Wilson, is it Wilson or Bernthal? Not Bernthal. Anyway, the actor who plays Bullseye did the pre Born Again season 2 kind of premiere for the official podcast episode. So anyway, yeah, that's all I got for now. I'm going to try to send in stuff every week. Other than that, talk to you later.
Thanks so much, Steve. It's great to hear from you. I had to put this into our episode 3 podcast feedback because I couldn't hold it out another week, and we're recording so many podcasts at the moment. I wanted to get your feedback into this episode as soon as I possibly could. Great to hear from you on this.
Yeah, great stuff. Thanks, Steve. Don't stay missing in action for too much longer.
Absolutely.
And make sure, for sure, that you keep your pub quiz answers rolling in at the end of the season. Be watching out for you as a fellow defender and a fellow quizzer.
Absolutely.
To be coming in with a full set of answers to our pub quiz questions, of course. And I think the episode spoils the pub quiz question for episode 1, so I think you're okay.
I love that poor Steve thought he couldn't say the name of the episode because it would spoil it. Don't worry, everybody has it right already, Steve. Even though we don't normally get our answers in until after the end of the season, everybody wanted to tell us how easy the question was. So I even got somebody on Spotify making a comment on the podcast going, it's the name of the episode, basically. So don't worry, you're not ruining anything. We're making the questions harder from now on.
Yes, absolutely. Einstein level hardness.
Exactly.
Will be coming in.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to check out the official podcast. They're doing a video cast with Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio and some of the other cast members and some of the other members behind the scenes. This is the new thing that all of the major channels are doing. I'm checking out lots of the fan podcasts though, so definitely hearing lots of good things from fans of Daredevil. So hopefully the cast are adding a bit extra information to their views as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'm totally with you there, Steve, around Matt and Karen's relationship. I'm really enjoying it, and it's mainly because they're not forcing the issue.
Yes.
It was kind of like, oh wow, surprise! They're now a couple, and it just feels quite natural in a sense. I do that in inverted commas for two people effectively on the run, technically with both dual identities, given the wigs involved for Karen.
Yes.
And that
is it Wiggy Page? Is it?
Yeah, exactly. Wiggy Watch. That basically, they're just doing as they can in the moment, and I like that it's kind of done in this very matter-of-fact way rather than a big sort of drum roll hoo-ha about it.
Well, I guess they kind of had the big drum roll hoo-ha back in season 2 of the Daredevil show on Netflix.
Exactly.
The two of them got together there, and now they're back together here after being on the run for a while. So it makes sense. They know each other very well at this stage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really good. Excellent stuff. Thanks so much for your feedback, Steve. Hopefully everybody else is going to be sending in their feedback, and we'll chat about it on the next podcast as well.
But Derek, let's get on with our podcast of episode 3 of Daredevil, The Scales and the Sword, not the sandals.
Nope.
Who gave us what, when, where, and how?
Well, the showrunner for the show, of course, is Dario Scardapane. This episode was directed by Solvan Slick Naim. He directed episodes of The Blacklist and Snowfall, but I dug really deep on this one, John. He also wrote, directed and produced a show about his dog called It's Bruno that starred Rob Morgan, who played Turk Barrett on Daredevil and the other Marvel Netflix shows. Everybody wants to see Turk Barrett back on this show.
Absolutely.
Just for a little cameo. Rob Morgan famously went on to star in multiple episodes as a police officer in Stranger Things on Netflix as well. So he seemed to have a contract on Netflix for many, many years. I'd love to see him back just for one little moment.
Yeah, it would be
with
good,
Turk Barrett. Wouldn't it be kind of cool? Yeah,
definitely. And who wrote this episode?
The episode was written by Heather Bellinson. This is the second episode of 3 Daredevil episodes that she wrote. She wrote the season 1 finale and has episode 7 of this season as well. She's got some great writing credits on The Walking Dead, American Gods as well, and recently wrote Interview with the Vampire, season 2, episode 3, No Pain. And she wrote The Sandman, season 1, episode 7, The Doll's House. 2 great shows, 2 great episodes as well.
Fantastic stuff.
And it's the third season of Into the Vampires coming out in a couple of weeks' time, John.
I know, it's
maybe
mad.
it's May, I think it is.
Mad.
And I think it's The Vampire Lestat is the third season.
Good stuff.
Great book, great TV show. Go check it out.
Absolutely. Great
really looking forward to that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Great characters. John.
Great teeth.
Absolutely. John, do you want to tell us what they all gave us with your synopsis for Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 3, The Scales and the Sword?
Sure. Kristen McDuffie is called up early to defend Jacques Duquesne from the allegations that he is the Swordsman. It's a sham trial, and unable to find a way around the mayor's new axe, Duquesne is found guilty on all charges. Karen shares full details of the Red Hook Charter with the governor of the state of New York, hoping she will revoke it, and after a brief interrogation of the captured AVTF agent, Matt trusts that he's telling them the truth. The agent provides him access to the port at Red Hook, and using Kristen McDuffie's directions, Daredevil finds his way inside the hidden facility. But instead of getting to Fisk's illegal weapons, Matt chooses to free the prisoners fighting side by side with Jacques Duquesne to get everyone out. Beyond the walls, Angela Del Toro, inspired by her uncle White Tiger, arrives to help the resistance. Angered by the attack on his facility, Fisk goes ahead with his plan, setting off an explosion that kills all the night workers who removed the weapons from the Northern Star.
Oof.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Old Karen and Matt Murdock are very shocked at that.
Yes, they are. Absolutely.
That even Wilson Fisk would go ahead with that kind of plan.
Well, he's supposed to be making it look like an accident, according to the conversation that he had with Mr. Let's say Charles back in episode 1. So I guess they're just surprised at the explosion because they don't know Fisk's behind it. They may suspect, but we'll see that more, I guess, in episode 4. Before we get into discussions on episode 4, we got to get into our major case notes for episode 3, though, John, don't we?
Yes. First up, it is case note number 1.
Order! Time for the defense to present their evidence.
And nicely enough, it does link into the trial of the Swordsman, or Jacques Duquesne. This really, has Kangaroo Court written all over it. I'm still not entirely sure to what extent the main judge is happy with it, but ultimately she goes ahead with it. It feels like she's being pressured by her kind of co-judges or companion judges to make sure that she stays on the right path, because he says to her, buck up, buttercup, let's get on with this.
Now, I will say there is a moment she walks in and there's the sign over the bench saying, justice will prevail, basically, and she kind of throws her eyes to heaven as if, just so everybody knows in the audience, justice will not prevail in this court.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a little heavy-handed, but I kind of like it as well in its own way.
No, I do. I mean, I think it's on the nose, but it makes it fairly clear. I mean, even we do see Kristen McDuffie going to have some time with her client. At Red Hook, but she's only taken the blindfolded, so she doesn't see any of it. I do like how that plays out later, where you have Daredevil asking her how she got in, and she goes, well, I couldn't see anything, and Daredevil goes, well, I can work with that. And so I thought that was quite cool, and it also explained why they were showing the pigeons and walking you through what she was walking through to get to the room where Jacques Duquesne was being held.
It's cool, and it's a TV show thing, definitely. But John, do you remember yesterday when you went over to the shops? Could you describe every step of the way that you got there and what was going on around you to someone that's never been in the location before, so they can get through that walk?
No,
I can't do that. Even if you told me in advance, I would have to describe it. I'm sure I'd miss a few things.
I think if I was blindfolded, I would be more heightened to everything else. Right. I guess.
Hey, look, it's a fun scene. I like it, but I'm just not too sure how realistic it is.
Absolutely. But I like then that, Jacques Duquesne is fairly somber about all of this. He knows he won't win the case, and that it's all because effectively he hadn't thrown his money behind Wilson Fisk. That Fisk also needs this public show. He says it started as a shakedown, and now he's going after his personal enemies because we effectively turned him down on the investment in Red Hook. This is news to Kristen McDuffie, and she at least has some kind of, dare I say it, hook that she feels she can use in court. Yeah. And she does try to, get him. She just tells him, speak the truth in the case when it's his time to go, on the stand. Yeah. But equally, she's frustrated that she says it seems as though the press has had longer to prepare for this court appearance than I have with my client, and so is really trying to get some kind of compromise or some kind of leeway from the main judge, who ultimately really appears, at least on the face of it, not to be having any of it. But I'm still wondering whether we will see that she's being coerced into doing this, whether it's from the other two judges either side of her, or more directly, say, from Buck Cashman. Maybe. I don't know. But she seems reluctant, but also resigned to it.
Yes, I think the frustration here is that Fisk has introduced the Safer Streets Act, and all of that is to allow him to do whatever he wants to do, and allows judges that are in his employ to disregard due process to find in favour of the district attorney, who is Hochberg, who we've seen. These are all great elements that add into the frustration of what's going on, right? I think lots of us in the world thought 10 years ago, the way things have gone, they wouldn't go this way again, right? How would you be ever able to repeat the mistakes that were made 50, 60 years ago? And showing these scenes of frustration, where a well-trained lawyer like Kristen McDuffie, she had her pick of whatever legal firm she wanted to go to. She could have even worked in the district attorney's office. She's here being told that the case has been moved up for her client, so she doesn't even have more than like a week to prepare, or more than a couple of days to prepare. You have Jacques, who instantly, when he finds out he's the first vigilante being put on trial, knows the reason that's happening is because Fisk wants his court case on telly, and he wants to have this big takedown of his own personal rival. And you have these judges who know they're just sitting there not to listen to any evidence, not to make any kind of determination. Whatever happens, this guy is supposed to be put in prison. He's supposed to be found guilty. So you hear, things like Hochberg reading directly from the transcript that Heather Glenn had put together. Like, Heather Glenn says in the transcript that Swordsman is just like the killer Muse. Well, she has absolutely no frame of reference to say that Swordsman could be anything like a person that actually did try to kill her. There's nothing.
Oh, absolutely.
It's pure speculation. And when Kristen tries to say that, they go, no, he's allowed to read whatever he wants to, basically.
Yeah, and I like that Kirsten does bump into Dr. Glenn outside of the court earlier on, and she literally says, your psych evaluation is a hatchet job. Yeah. So I kind of like that. And you do get these a couple of glances over at her as she sits in court. Yeah. And you hear later, actually, from Vanessa, who says, your evaluations were instrumental in getting Jacques Duquesne sentenced as guilty. So this is really, in fact, in the words of Jacques Duquesne, it's a tribunal, not a trial. Yeah. This is just coming down on high because of the way this new law has been, the Safer Streets Act has been sort of phrased. So really kind of interesting.
Yeah, this is purely to get what Fisk wants to say out into public domain. That's why the courts are allowed to have reporters in there with cameras while it's going on, and why Kristen isn't allowed any time to prepare her defense, because it's much easier for them to prosecute him if she has no defense to put forward. So a really interesting one. And just remember, again, I think we mentioned in the last episode about Handmaid's Tale, but remember watching that first episode of Handmaid's Tale where you're going, well, this can't happen. You know, you think it's something that's happening in the 1800s because of the images that you've seen of the show, but actually it's set in contemporary times. And the ruling class in Handmaid's Tale have found all of the people that could possibly form a resistance and taken them out systematically, which is what's happening here with Wilson Fisk. He's looking to systematically take out anybody that could form any kind of resistance to him. You know, the episode even opens with things like the basketball courts in the local area all being shut down, so people can't even meet to chat with each other, you know. Yes. There's loads of signs everywhere saying, due to the Safer Streets Act, places are closed down that have been decided just on the whim of Wilson Fisk, you know. So yeah. It's really interesting that it's led to this. It's really interesting that it's formed around Jacques Duquesne, and he knows he's going to be sent to jail. I love the scene between himself and Kristen McDuffie when she's talking to him. There's lots of amiability between the two of them. He knows what he's there for. He knows that he's just being used, and he knows there's nothing she can do about it, so he's not angry
well, that's
with her.
it. Yeah, he understands the absurdity of the verdict, and I do like the way that as the judgment is coming down from the judge, he kind of says, this is a farce for the entertainment of the masses. And you see Wilson Fisk watching it on TV in his office, laughing as the win effectively takes place, and he gets the guilty verdict. And you have Duquesne saying, you know, presented in all its ugly glory by the man who holds the scales.
Yes.
I mean, what do they say is that Mother Justice is blind. That's why she wears the blindfold. But in certain circumstances, yes, in this case, not very blind at all. Very pointed, in fact, from Wilson Fisk.
Well, yeah, not justice at all, I would say.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's always the interesting thing. I always remember when I arrived in Ireland, and there were a few going to Dublin Castle, which was obviously the seat of British power in Ireland back in the day during its colonisation and so on, and that I said Mother Justice, didn't I? But Lady Justice is that faces into the castle, not out towards the city. And there's always, that was kind of like, you know, is that trying to say the justice will always be weighted towards, you know, the occupying officials and forces.
Rather than to the people. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Must have a look at that, John. I haven't noticed that in Dublin Castle. Let's go check that out the weekend.
Yeah. Well, lots of symbolism in the way things are put.
Absolutely.
Whether it's the phrasing of words or architecture and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, anyway,
interesting one.
Ultimately, though, yes, the trial of the swordsman goes ahead, and he is found guilty, but with sentencing to follow. Yes,
absolutely.
I think we should get on to our case note number 2.
Yeah, let's talk about Heather Glenn in this episode. Our first moment is where we've got the case note, which is the obsession with the Muse mask.
Yes,
she kept it after being attacked.
She certainly did.
Shooting him in the head.
And I'm wondering, is she about to hang it on the wall?
It does look like it. Yeah, she looks like she's taking a moment with the Muse mask there. She's counting 1, 2, 3 as she's looking at it, as if she couldn't face looking at it before. So she's trying to build up that tolerance to looking at the thing that almost killed her, is what it feels like. But she's not in a good place. And, you know, you wonder whether the reason why she has access to it is because of maybe Vanessa or Wilson Fisk got it for her and brought it to her, thinking, you know, well, this might keep her even more on side. You know, there seems to be a relationship developing, or a friendship developing between Vanessa and Heather Glenn in this episode as well. And given that when she meets up with Kristen, you know, she says to her, well, you know, as a friend, even though they're not friends anymore, even though she's saying things like maybe Matt Murdock was working with Daredevil and Punisher, you know, or maybe they killed him, or maybe he was working on their side, you know, that's she seems to be full of conspiracy theories. I love that Kristen's kind of dealing with her like she's a fragile egg. You know, she's kind of saying, well, I don't think that's exactly what happened.
Absolutely.
And I do think Matt's alive.
Like they clearly differ on their views of Fisk, and I think Kirsten's kind of like going, you've kind of warped your thoughts on Matt.
Yes.
He's never, as you described there. Ultimately, I do like the fact that Kirsten comes out and says, why are you working for him? He's not the answer. So, you know, she's very clear on that. And I think someone needs to be with Dr. Glenn, because like it's really great characterization here, because I'm really disliking her. But I can see now in this episode, she's clearly going through something. Like, she looks really kind of preoccupied in the trial, like shaken almost. Whether it's because the realization of what she's done, or how she's been manipulated again. I don't know, but it's just really good. Yeah,
I know what you mean. She just feels uncomfortable, doesn't she? And, you know, she is a supporter of Fisk. Both Wilson and Vanessa. She is someone that's on their side. But it feels like that could all come crashing down at some point as the episodes go on, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
One other thing, as part of the relationship with Vanessa, interestingly, she starts to kind of pair her up with Buck Cashman. They have the dinner at Vanessa's house, and they're made sit beside each other. I just love the conversation that's going on between Buck Cashman and Heather Glenn. You know, he's surprised that Heather's sitting beside him, and he says, oh, we've got the best table in the house, looking on to the royal court. And he starts cataloguing them. He's saying the king locking horns with the governor, the queen observing everything and making notes, Daniel. And Heather kind of says that a jester, and he goes, well, no, maybe he's something more. Maybe he's the heir unapparent, which I love. This calls back to something last episode where Wilson Fisk and Vanessa were talking about the fact they could leave the city, but they have no heir to leave the city to, and potentially maybe Daniel is being prepared to become the new kingpin in the future.
Well, absolutely. But even just before this as well, Daniel and Buck have a moment where
yes, they do.
You have Buck coming into Daniel's office. You know, Buck is trying to find out about the leak from the office in respect to the Kingpin in a mask. And he's like, find out who is in the mask and turn them over to me, he says. But it's also that Daniel is effectively eating some street meat, but persuades Buck to eat it as though it's one of the best pieces of street food you're ever going to get, but it's just from the local bodega or something. And he kind of says, look how I've been able to turn you into thinking you're eating something exquisite.
Or at least something better than you get at a massive
exactly.
dining event.
Because he's trying to find out about Governor McCaffrey. Does she have any weak points, any secrets, which is one of the other reason why Buck is here, sort of trying to sort of get the info from Daniel from his files.
Yeah.
So I kind of like, I like how that exchange has clearly put a different view on Daniel from Buck as he says this then to Heather.
Yeah, absolutely. He continues to go around, and an interesting one, he calls out Sheila, the chief of staff, or is she Iago, waiting with a sharpened blade? So, again, interesting. You know, she did at the end of last season turn on the chief of police, and that led to his death. Yeah, so he's still thinking maybe she's waiting for her moment. Maybe that wasn't the moment, and she's still keeping close to Fisk and will eventually turn on him. That's interesting. And then the discussion turns to Buck. What's his position? He says he's a knight or maybe a man at arms. And then Heather gives a really interesting take. Is he there categorizing the sharks that might one day tear him apart? You know, I love this idea. Again, it's just calling out what we've seen. You know, we've seen everybody being manipulative. We've seen everybody having their own perspective. Everybody's a complex character in this show. Everybody from Daniel to Vanessa to Book to Sheila to Kingpin himself, all of them are reserving everything that's going on around them and making decisions based on their perspective and based on what they're seeing. So who's the smartest one? Who is going to be the shark that will survive at the end of the season, you know? So yeah,
absolutely. I mean,
great.
even with Daniel sort of saying, you know, what's your thing, Book? You know, you ex-special ops from the UK, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And Book's not letting anything out at all. So yeah, really interesting thing in this episode with Book Cashman.
It is. And interestingly, just a tip for anybody who's going on a date for the first time with someone they know, he didn't turn his spotlight on Heather Glenn to tell her who she was in the court. He just said, we're courtiers, or courtesans, right? He calls himself a knight man at arms. He literally lists off every one of the major characters that we've seen so far, but doesn't turn the spotlight onto Heather Glenn. So date probably went quite well.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. I can't imagine it will work out very well.
I don't know. There was something
never
about
know.
There was something about their meetings over the course of season 1 that I always felt there was something there. Remember, it was Buck Cashman that found Heather Glenn for the Fisks when they were going through their marital troubles. He's the one that went over to their house to invite her plus guest, i.e. Matt Murdock, to the Black and White event last season. So he's always had a connection with Heather Glenn. So it's interesting that Vanessa's setting them up and he's calling it a pleasant surprise. So hey, you never know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Two villains
Really
joining together.
good stuff. Let us get on to our case note number 3.
Order in the court.
Yes, the governor is on to Fisk. This is Governor McCaffrey.
Yeah.
I have to say now, there is an exchange between these two that I just absolutely love. She's here for the governor's sort of dinner, and she's challenging him in his office about the Red Hook Freeport. And, you know, just because all these things are above board, because all of your assets have been put into trust, and that, she says it doesn't make you immune. And, you know, she basically makes a pointed remark and flags that his intimidation of her attorney general by his CIA friends, you know, was not welcome. And she seems to take a bit more of a conciliatory note where she says, look, I turned a blind eye to your powers, the AVTF, the court cases, but a ship in the harbour I can't turn a blind eye to. And Fisk is like, I don't know where you get your info from. And she says, you don't, do you? I love that.
Fantastic.
Great line. Now, on the other flip side of that, at the dinner that we've just talked about, Vanessa whispers to Fisk's ear because she tries to take a lead on him by speaking first to the invited guests, and Vanessa's basically saying she's doing this because she's afraid of you.
Yeah.
And there may be a bit of, you know, column A, column B here for Governor McCaffrey.
I think she's just smart. Yeah.
I think she's just smart, exactly. Yeah. And I think she knows exactly how to handle mayors in New York City.
Exactly. Like, you know, the point that she's making when she's listing out all of the things that are that have Fisk has done since he got into office, the point that I feel she's making is, I've been watching you, I've seen it all.
Absolutely.
I'm seeing it happen. She also, in the post from an anonymous source, gets a copy of the Red Hook plans and the charter, effectively. Karen, we find out, has sent that over to her. But that's just the tipping point. What she's telling Fisk in that room is, I've been watching you the whole time. I usually allow people to hang themselves with enough rope. I'm not there to take them out. They'll do that themselves. But yes, putting a ship into the East River, allowing it to sink, that is you hanging yourself.
Absolutely.
And I'm here to watch.
With the threat that it is only the governor that can revoke the Freeport status of Red Hook.
So is she telling him she is revoking it? Because that's what it feels like.
I think it's a threat.
Okay.
Like, basically, stay in your lane.
Okay.
I think.
Because I thought when
Also-
she said that the ship in the East River is you hanging yourself, I thought that was her saying, I'm now about to go down and revoke the charter.
Maybe. I took it as just get it sorted because that's not acceptable and it needs to go away.
Yeah.
Because it's not just a thing for the mayor of New York, it's for the governor of the state. So, like, I think she's saying that not only have I been watching you, but I do have levers to use against him because Fisk goes, well, I hope for the people of New York's sake that this investment won't be. So I don't think she's decided to do it, but I think there's a contemplation there, or at least, a veiled threat.
I don't know. I just wonder if maybe next episode, when she finds out about all the escapees from Red Hook, will she shut the place down by submitting the charter? Or, maybe she'll, on her drive home, she may end off in a similar way to Gallo last season.
Exactly.
I just wanted to point out the actress who plays the governor is Lily Taylor, who is another actress from Gotham. She played one of the child catchers alongside Frank Wally in episode 4, I think, of Gotham season 1. Just fun again. Another actress from Gotham. Didn't have any scenes as far as I remember with Sabrina Guevara, but certainly was on the show in that first season when both of them were when she was a major character. So
she's also in a movie that I really enjoyed back in the day. I've not watched it in a long time. Hell House.
Right.
It's from a book which I think is entitled the same, by Robert Matheson, who also did I Am Legend. So it's a really good book about effectively haunted house,
right?
Really,
Very
but it's just really nicely sort of framed by Robert Matheson.
Yeah,
love him as an author.
Oh, absolutely, he's great. He's great.
Yeah. So yes, she's great,
absolutely,
and it's good that she has some nice, sort of spiky rebuttals to Fisk here. So yeah, good.
And one of the other things that's kind of going in and out throughout the episode is that everybody's trying to look for some dirt on her, but she's squeaky clean. I love the conversation that Daniel's having with her right hand man. I think is what he describes him as. He's trying to get him drunk to get the information out of him, and he's like, oh, she writes the traffic laws and then obeys the traffic laws. It's like, that's how squeaky clean she is. She writes the speed limit and also obeys it. So that's a sign, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So hopefully we'll see more of the governor.
Absolutely. Our introduction to the governor. I hope so. I hope she survives the series.
Let's hope so. Somebody has to survive in New York. Right?
Absolutely. At least she's far enough away in Albany, I guess. But I think onto our case note number 4. It is the Red Hook escape.
Yes.
It is Daredevil's infiltration to get into Red Hook and expose all the ordnance and armaments that have been, gradually removed from the Northern Star wreck in effect, and by the night crew, and is being sort of piled up at the Freeport. And all based, as we said, on Kristen's visit to Jacques Duquesne and her retelling of this. I do like the fact that she's pulled into her office by Karen bumping into her after she's just been given a drink from a guy, and she's kind of quite excited by this because she's effectively drowning her sorrows after the awful court case. And
I love the bartender going, oh, you're so much fun when you lose.
Yeah, exactly. And so she goes over and says, oh no, you can't be here. Firstly, I'm drunk. And secondly, everyone's after you.
Yeah. And thirdly, don't get me involved, because I can't be involved in the resistance. And again, this build up, I mentioned it last episode, one of the things I'm really enjoying is this build up of all the members of the resistance, some more reluctant than others. It's the fun part about these types of shows, the people that are pulled in, some who want to keep as far away as possible from it, some who are on the side of the bad guy, in this case Kingpin, and some who are on the side of the good guy in Daredevil and Matt. So I love this gathering all of them together as the episode's
absolutely, absolutely. But we have Daredevil getting inside, and I like that he gets this choice effectively. So he hears the watch that he put into the crate when he was infiltrating on the Northern Star whilst it was still afloat.
Yep.
And he hears that, but he also hears this whole gaggle of geese, I guess, going on to the right.
Yeah.
And so he has to make a choice here, and he has to mention this to Karen later. He said, I had to choose which way do I go, and he chooses, as you would expect, to help the people who had been imprisoned there in this building in Red Hook.
Yeah.
So he chooses to release all these prisoners. I like he does it to Jacques Duquesne. I like the fact that as the alarm starts sounding, Jacques Duquesne is given a bit of rebar to use, and I like how he twirls it. I like how he kind of uses it as a sword.
Yes.
And I think you said as well, that whole fight scene, it's a little bit of the one camera take, which was really, really good. It
is absolutely, it's the single take extravaganza, as I have in my notes. Yeah, it's cool. I think weirdly we were looking at Matt, at Daredevil when he was breaking people out of the cells and going, how is he possibly doing that? How is he breaking all the locks that easily? Surely they could have reached out and done that. But that's part of the one take thing, right? He's may not be hitting them hard enough for definitely breaking the lock, but you can go with it. Look, he breaks the locks open. Each person comes out of their cage. They start to move up and down as the guards start to pour into the room, and each of the guards is taken out with the help of Swordsman. I think it's really cool to have this as their single take scene. I think it's excellent.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I do like the fact that the rebar is used a bit as a javelin at one stage. Yeah. So one of the guards gets it right in the shoulder. Mm-hmm. All the kind of fire suppressant comes from the pipes in order to sort of mask where they are, because you hear use deadly force over the walkie-talkies. But I like the fact that they get everyone out here, and you have this side-by-side fight between Daredevil and Jacques Duquesne as they're trying to get all the other prisoners to safety, which ultimately they get them outside, but we have Powell outside, Karen, who's now been joined by Angela, which is great.
The new
drive in with a huge big armored truck, so they're able to sort of get in the back and to get the prisoners to safety.
Absolutely. And just to point out, Angela's now wearing the medallion, the White Tiger medallion now. So she's basically arrived. She's taken out a couple of the guards, at least taken all their weapons and their walkie-talkies. So there's a great moment when Karen calls to Code Red inside the prison, telling him where to go, basically. So that's quite cool. So Angela being really useful here and saying there's no doubt her uncle would have done this, and she felt she couldn't sit on the sidelines and not help out. So here she is trying to help out Daredevil. She has gone to Red Hook, realizes Daredevil's there, so herself and Karen team up to get this massive truck. And as they arrive out, everybody gets in the back of a van. Karen tells Swordsman to sit up front. Is he okay driving the van? I love a great almost spit take from Jacques Duquesne when he looks down at the controls of this massive van and goes, this looks a little more difficult than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But they do get out of there, thankfully. So all of the prisoners saved by Daredevil and Karen go a separate way, take a different truck out of the facility.
Yeah, and ultimately they split up. I like the sort of end where it shows that Powell's about to get in the trucks and go after certainly Daredevil and Karen, but the tires have been slashed with like the claw marks of Angela's knives in the form of sort of a tiger slash.
Yes, very cool.
So very cool. Yeah. I did like that.
I know. I'm still waiting for Powell to just get punched in the face repeatedly, which I hope is coming towards
I'm sure he will.
He will.
I'm sure he will. But shall we get on to our case note number 5?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our final case note.
Yes, the resistance is growing.
Yeah. We've kind of talked about this throughout the episode, but just to kind of call it out here, Swordsman and Angela have now joined the group, but also Ariane, who was the owner, I guess, of the Greek Cypriot restaurant from the first 2 episodes. She's joined, and she knows a place to take all of these runaways now, to take them to hide out, basically. So another member of the resistance there. So I like this. I like that that's happening throughout the episode, that all of the resistance is expanding. We did again mention that. Even just that little thing of Kristen giving the detail to Daredevil of how to get into Red Hook means that she's also included in the resistance now. So
yeah, exactly.
Hopefully we'll see more people coming into it. I'd love to see something like Sheila joining the resistance, potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. As a sort of certainly
person on the inside, maybe
insider. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've already got BB there as well. Yeah. So, there's a huge amount of people now, getting involved. Yeah. Even Josie managed and Cherry are in the wind.
Yeah.
They're still out of the hands of the task force. Yeah. So
and still members of the resistance, of course, exactly as you say. So it kind of leads from the promise that we got at the final episode of last season, the kind of post-credit scene where we had Daredevil looking into a room of people around him. Starting the resistance effectively. Yeah, exactly. So hopefully we'll see more of that as the season goes on. But that isn't going down well with Fisk, is it?
No, it's not. And again, it's like I said, he's able to spin things. So he knows that his facility's been compromised. Powell's on the phone to him. It's following the governor's dinner, and he's like, effectively carry out the plan. I can work with this. Yeah. Effectively pinning it on, he's probably going to pin it on the vigilantes again. Yeah. It's all the nappies that have gone up in the explosion, all this kind of stuff. Yeah. The fact that the warehouse was broken into, they have escaped. So he's going to spin this one way or another, but he goes ahead with killing the night crew workers who were removing the weapons from the ship at night. So
and the point is, so they can't report what it was they were moving, so there's no connection from them. There was that moment that we saw with Powell when he was talking to the night workers, and they were saying, can we just go home? Can you not just pay us? Why do we have to wait for you to come back after delivering the weapons? And Powell's like, shut the hell up, get on board the ship, effectively. Yeah. So they followed the instructions, and now they're sent to the bottom of the East River for their trouble.
Exactly. So looking forward to the next episode to see the fallout of that explosion, how Fisk is going to spin it. Derek, any notes for this episode?
No, I think it cracked along at a pace because we spent most of the time in court. There's not even a whiskey watch in here. I didn't see what drink Kristen was drinking, but she probably was drinking whiskey, was she?
Well, it was shots for sure. Yes. I think whoever her suitor was, I think had gotten her a whiskey.
Right, there you go.
Because that was in a tumbler.
Yeah.
So,
come on, Marvel, Disney, give us some labels.
Yeah, give us some labels.
We're not just watching whiskey.
Ones,
exactly. We're not just watching whiskey here. We want to watch some actual types of whiskey in the show.
Well, it's changed since Netflix.
It has, absolutely. John, any other notes for the episode?
None for me at all.
All right, then.
Silence. Do you defend this episode?
John, do you defend the 3rd episode of Season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, The Scales and the Sword?
I certainly do. I liked this. I liked the start of Fisk's plan with the court case, complication of the governor, the coming to light of Red Hook, all of this stuff. It felt nice and juicy and elaborate. I like that Dr. Glenn got a bit more of an outing here, and certainly also with Kirsten. So all of this was great for me. Really liked the escape from Red Hook.
Yes.
Loved the little flourish from Jacques Duquesne.
Absolutely.
Of course, he's not the swordsman. But yeah, I really liked it. So I give this 4 nighty night crews out of 5. Yes.
John.
They have gone to sleep for their final time.
Oh dear.
I just, as I say, just really enjoyed this. And so absolutely defend this episode. Derek, book up, buttercup. Do you defend this episode of Daredevil Born Again?
Yes,
The scales and the sword.
Yes, I do. Absolutely. Yeah, I love the building of the resistance. Love the one take fight sequence with Swordsman. Love the court case, even though it's a kangaroo court and the outcome was definitely going to be known. Really like that. Some great moments in this episode. And yeah, do you know what? The scene between Buck and Daniel is one of my favorites in the episode. Where Daniel manipulates Buck into eating a hot dog just to tell him that's how good I am.
Cat food in a cylindrical shape.
I'd eat one. I did eat one when I was in New York.
Did love them.
Absolutely love them. There's nothing better. Fantastic stuff. So with that, John, let's go down to Josie's bar and see if we can get a drink from a stranger.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, fellow quizzers, fellow defenders, it is Josie's Bar Quiz for Season 2 of Daredevil Born Again. It's episode 3, so guess what? Surprise, surprise. It's Sillaria, and it's question 3. What 3 brotivational words are on the black posters on the wall in Daniel's office?
Right. These are apparently very famous. They are used by people who want to disregard the idea that work is for work and you have a real life outside of it. John, do you want to give the question one more time?
Yes. What 3 brotivational words are on the black posters on the wall in Daniel's office? One of them may be a little tricky to get because there is a pillar in the way.
There is, but it moves.
You do get to see, I think, half of the word, and you can work it out for sure.
You definitely can. You definitely can. And I promise you, if you Google it, the 3 words come up as... No, I don't mean connected to Daredevil. This predates Daredevil. This is out there from years ago. So
but don't Google it, fellow quizzers. That's called cheating.
It's not cheating. It's
a pub quiz. You can't use your phone or laptop.
That's right.
Or
well,
computer.
We trust you, fellow defenders.
I know.
Maybe they're just Googling the spelling. Great stuff. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode. That is the third question of 8 for the season. Email us at the end of the season to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com with your correct answers for the pub quiz questions. And you can also email us there with your thoughts on any of the episodes of the shows as we go through them. If you're missing Chris, he is discussing Invincible Season 4 on Prime Video with me each week. And we'll be back, of course, with the boys' final season in a couple of weeks' time.
Yes. Looking forward to that for sure.
Absolutely.
And absolutely enjoying the Invincible coverage as well.
Yeah, it's been fun.
And the cartoon.
Yeah.
Absolutely love Invincible.
It's a great show. Yeah. It's a great show. And John even got to do an episode of the show this season.
I stood in for Chris because he was working.
And you did a great job. Yeah, thanks, John.
But, fellow defenders, we'll be back next time with our chat all about Daredevil Born Again, episode 4, Gloves Off. And of course we will have our next question in the series for Josie's bar quiz.
Absolutely. Did this Gloves Off? I guess this is the fight between Kingpin and...
I suspect so.
Did you see who he's fighting? He's fighting the Matterhorn.
Yeah. I would say this will be the literal and metaphorical Gloves Off.
It probably will be.
Tit for tat, tit for tat.
And he's fighting a mountain.
Yeah. Excellent stuff.
Looking forward to it. See you then.
Great stuff, fellow defenders. Remember, until next time, keep watching, keep listening, and of course, keep defending.
Bye.
Bye now.